Hello, friends, and welcome to Leadership Happy Hour. I'm Chip Lutz, unconventional leader. I'm pretty stoked tonight because I've got Cheri Neal with me. Cheri is a friend of mine, and what I like about Cheri's got an interesting background. You know, many moons ago, she was working multiple jobs. She was, working herself into an early grave, and she's like, found out that the state of Illinois was looking for plow drivers, and she's like, I'm going to apply for that. And she was the first female snowplow driver, in her area. Or was it for the state?
For the state of Illinois, not just my area, for the entire state of Illinois.
For the entire state, which is pretty interesting. And she's worked her way up. She's been in city government nearly 20 years, been fighting the fight. And so I thought tonight we'd talk a little bit about government, leadership, horses, whatever we want to talk about, because it's happy hour. So cheers to you, Cheri.
Woohoo!
Welcome.
Cheers to you. So then I brought my
happy
hour mug, so we're good. I won't show you my stash of teas that I have to compare to anybody's liquor cabinet. But
there we go. So if you could be so kind as tell people a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I was elected in 2001 as the Zion Township Supervisor. The state of Illinois is broken up into townships, and they're 6 by 6 mile squares. And it was actually created in the 1800s, and it was devised so that individuals, if they had a dispute about something, if they wanted to get married, if somebody needed help, they would choose somebody in that area that they would have represent them. So whoever would go to that person, and everybody would pitch in a little bit of money to help. And that's how township government was actually created in the state of Illinois. So I oversee social services for my community is really the bottom line of what I do.
So does it go like city, township, county? Is that like the chain of commands?
Yeah, well, it's that's the kind that there's so many different levels of government in the state of Illinois that they say that's one of the biggest problems. So townships they took the state and they did the literal grid system and they made townships. Then cities came along and started overlaying. So my township, it's called coterminous. We're actually the same boundaries as the city of Zion, but most townships have like 3 or 4 different cities that actually go into it. So you've got the township, then you've got the city, then you've got the county, then you've got the state. So
that's got to be like multiple layers of bureaucracy you got to deal with. You got to deal with mayors, and then you got to deal with county executives. How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, see, in my level of government, I just deal with people in need. So the only time I deal with my mayor on a regular basis because we're always looking at strategies to make our community better. But in what I do, my whole job is to try and come up with ways to help people move out of poverty, address crisis situations, to do those kinds of things. So, and then it's just when it becomes a county issue that I work with my county board representative, more often the chairman of the county board, and then my state representative, my state senator, and then my congressman and my U.S. senator. I know all them well, so that if there's a situation that comes up, then I can help people in my community to be able to address it. So.
Oh,
cool.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool. Now let's backtrack just a little bit when you were driving a snowplow.
Right.
So how was that? I mean, you're the first woman out there driving a plow. I mean, I don't think we think about some things like that today. I mean, this is how many years ago?
Yeah, it was 1989.
Okay, so, wholly male-dominated field. You're out there, plowing, and Illinois, very
horrible.
Much like, you're really close to me. So, I mean, I know you got plenty of snow. What was it like working in that kind of environment?
Yeah, it was horrible, especially the first month. None of the guys would even talk to me because my dad was in charge of assigning the jobs. So the fact that I wasn't 300 pounds or gay meant that I was a spy. And so they refused to speak to me ever at all. It was the most uncomfortable, but it wasn't as uncomfortable as working 3 jobs and not being with my son. So I decided that I would tolerate it. And it wasn't until one of the guys started to tell a really raunchy joke, and then he realized I was sitting there and he stopped. I was like, you guys, the gig's off. So I threw off my gloves and I told the most raunchy joke, and I'm not going to tell it here for children's ears, but and it was at that point that they just broke and said, all right, gig's up, let's let her in. So, and it took me about 3 years to get them to work with me. You know, I had one boss that I walked up to the job site and asked him what we were doing. And he said, well, Perta darling, it's kind of like frosting cupcakes. And I'm like, okay, well, what if I'm not very good at frosting cupcakes? What are we doing then? And we were actually looting. We were cutting out squares in the pavement that were messed up, and we were relaying the blacktop. So by the end of the season, I was running the Bobcat, I was running the roller, I was cutting the trees myself. I mean, it took a while, but the thing that frustrated me the most is when we'd be out on a job site and they would think because I was the girl that I was supposed to be the flagger. Yeah, that didn't work. I would flag, but I would only flag if everybody else flagged the exact same amount of time as me. So yeah.
You were a trailblazer then.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was good.
That's
it was fun though. So yeah,
you're
the county
out there laying the path for, other women so they can. So do you know how many female plow drivers they have now?
Actually in township government, 2 of our highway commissioners are females. So it's kind of cool. And I'm the only township. There's 2 townships in our county that don't have a highway department. I'm like, how messed up is that? I've got 1 of 2 out of 18 townships that don't have a highway department. I kept my steel toe boots. I still have my Class A license. I can still do it all, but I don't have trucks to play with. So it is what it is. I've got it to fall back on. If I ever lose this job, I can go back to driving a snowplow.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
Crazy. But it's so interesting to me because going on the radio, if I had to call something in, I would spend probably 3 hours after I would talk on the radio just beating the crud out of myself about you sounded stupid and why'd you say that and why didn't you do this? And it's so different from now where I am putting in requests so that I can speak in front of groups of people. It's pretty crazy. I was on radio on a local radio station this morning and I was just thinking back to just how far and how much my confidence has grown. It's so interesting to see how people change, over time.
I think it's like that with all of us, though. I mean, you start something new, and we're always our own worst critic on things.
Yeah.
It's like, how come I didn't say it? How come I didn't say this? Why didn't I do that? And you continually replay your mistakes in your head.
Right.
When you just need to just let it go because you're the only person that's thinking about it. Nobody else is thinking about it. They might make fun of you, like, oh, you're Cheri. She asked me what my 20 was, and she had no idea what it meant.
Yeah, get over it, Alice. Right? So, I know it is crazy. There's one thing that I finally started to apply in my life with that critic is whenever I leave any situation, if that critic starts up, instead ask myself, what are the 3 things I did well, and what's the one thing I want to do better next time? So to start.
Oh, that's really good.
Unplugging that, because otherwise it goes right into beating the crud out of myself, and none of us deserve that.
I like that. Looking at the 3 things you did well and the one thing that you could do a little bit better. I think that's a good rule of thumb for pretty much anybody. Focusing on the positive. And we do the same thing in the military. We do after anything an after action report.
Right.
Looking at what went well, what could have gone better, and then what can we do different the next time so we don't make the same mistake. Trying to look at, all right, what did I learn from the whole situation? How can I use that, leverage it to do things a little bit better afterwards?
Yeah.
So now, how long you been in township government? Since 2001.
So I ran in 1997. I actually joined, I was trying to find something I could do to volunteer, and every place I called, they said, we only work with civic groups. So I didn't know what a civic group was. So I was actually the first female ranger for the Zion Park District, and quit because I married a cop, and it wasn't probably a good thing to have 2 people carrying a gun in a family. Yeah, not a good thing. One of us was going to go and it wouldn't be pretty. And it ended up being a good thing because it didn't end well. But, so I joined Kiwanis, which is a civic group. And at the next meeting, Truman Hudson was my predecessor, and he announced that he had intended on retiring. And everything that he talked about was everything that I knew that I could do. He had substance abuse counseling, and I'd been in recovery for years and years and years, 16 at the time. And he did Meals on Wheels, and I delivered Meals on Wheels with my son. And then he had a youth group program, and I was the youth group director at my church. So plus I was raised in politics. My dad was a politician. So I kind of knew the scope of things.
Right.
Ran for the position and lost by 6 votes. So that was swore I would never do it again, ever.
And you were calling all your friends saying, "Why didn't you get out there and vote?"
Yeah,
Damn
actually,
it,
no, actually, I grew up in that, and my dad would literally, after an election, he would go back and he would look at to see who voted. And so my philosophy is everything happens for a reason, and that I just wasn't supposed to get it, but I felt set up by God. I didn't talk to God for like 4 months. Screamed. I had screaming fits because I felt really set up.
He was calling you on the phone. You're like, "I'm not taking your calls right now."
I'm not. Yeah. If you do, I'm throwing down. I am throwing down because you set me up. I knew that this is what you want me to do, and then you lost by 6 votes. You got go play with somebody else. And so during the next 4 years, I ended up getting divorced from the local police officer, and decided to run one more time. And then I won by a landslide. So the community just didn't want my ex-husband to have, any more control than he did, carrying out.
So you blamed it all on him.
So I did.
Poor
so
bastard.
We're good now. We're really good. He lives down in Tennessee, so he's good. So, oh my God, what a journey! What a day journey. So it was great day. Yeah.
Funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. So because I speak government, 22 years in the Navy, I do a lot of government work, and it's a much different dynamic than it is in the civilian world on looking how you get things done, how you lead, how you maneuver, how you, I don't want to say politic, because politics get a bad name as far as organization politics. I think politics are important in order to take care of people and getting budget done and everything else. So, I like the government world. I love it. So, as a leader, what are some of the biggest challenges you think that you've faced in trying to get things done? Just as a leader, but also as a female leader. Because I think that's a wholly different dynamic as well.
And it's interesting that you say that, because when I came in Zion Township supervisor, my community has a rich history, religious history. It was actually Zion and Washington, D.C. were the only 2 communities that were actually designed before anybody moved in. So we have the church in the middle of the city, and the streets are in the shape of a cross, and every street's named after something in the Bible. Well, one of the principles was that women don't lead. And so for me to get elected was not a very popular thing from the old timers. So it took
you're like a blasphemer. They wanted to put you, tie rocks to you, throw you in the lake, see if you float.
Yeah. They never said that, but I did have a couple people say, "Please watch your back." So, and they were determined that I would be a 1-term supervisor. So, but I ended up winning them all over. And I think the thing that I know difference between business and being in government is, in business, you have a boss and you have to do what they say. In government, there's no boss. You might think that you're somebody's boss, maybe in your immediate office, but if you're trying to work with other elected officials or people in your community, if you don't learn how to work well with people, you're not going to get anything done. People go into, in the presidential election, they've got all this business experience and think that they can change things, and you can't change anything if people won't work with you.
Right.
So it's a huge issue that people don't pay attention to, and relationships are everything. So
that's at the core of leadership right there. You can have the best policies, best plans, you can have a great title, but if you don't know how to get along with people, you're not going to get anything done. I mean, that's the big secret. It's all about people.
I've never realized just how much that matters in the last few years. Probably people say that my greatest talent is in bringing the right people to the table to affect change. And so when I have an idea about something and I bring the right people to the table, I'm a firm believer in only working with yes people. You've got 2 kinds of people. You have the people that say no because, and they have a whole list of reasons why things won't work. Then you have the other people that say yes, although, and they have the same list of why things won't work, but they're willing to figure out how to make it work, even though that there's those things. And so making sure that people around my table are only the yes people, and not people that'll say yes and not think things through. I'm a visionary and I have all kinds of crazy ideas. And if I don't have people around the table that are going to challenge me and ask the hard questions, we're all in trouble. We're in big trouble.
You need people there that are going to tell you you have a stupid idea, because we need that. Because I'm like you. I think every idea I have is like, this is a great idea.
Yeah, this is fun. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Yeah.
It's funny. consequences. They stink.
Yeah, it's funny you said about you like yes people. I just wrote an article this morning and published on LinkedIn on that everything in my life, good that's happened is happened because I said yes. Even if it didn't turn out the way that I wanted it to happen, I learned something from it and I grew from it. That yes is powerful. It's one of my favorite movies is that Jim Carrey movie Yes Man.
I love that movie. That movie. Yep.
Yes, we are a society of no. We can't do, especially in the government. No, we can't do that. We've never done that before. But I love, like you, I love people that say yes. I mean, let's try it. What's the worst that can happen? All right, if it doesn't work, we'll figure out what didn't work and we'll do it a little bit better. And I think it provides so much power to a team to say yes. Let's do this. Let's get. We've never done this before.
Right.
Well, doesn't mean it doesn't mean it can't be done.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love the evolution process. So like we've tried a few things in our community to try and get like community to start working together differently and addressing situations, and they fizzled out. And so other people say, well, we tried that and it fizzled out. It was like, no, we laid a foundation. So we know what didn't work, what did work. Now, how can we build on that to try and do something, differently? But to your point about yes, the other really powerful word that I know is the word no. To say yes to what is in our mission and what we believe as a team will bring us value, but then to really recognize what's mission creep. And because a lot of times what I would do is I would come back to my team and say, hey, I sent, we're going to do this and this. And my administrator, thank God for Gail, you heard her on the phone earlier. Her answer is timeout. Are we the best person to do that? Or is there somebody that's better suited to do it? And I never would have asked that before. I would just dive in and let's go and let's have fun. But finding the best person for any project is crucial in saving energy and having a greater impact. And I love being able to do that.
But you're not really saying no. You're just you're saying yes with the caveat on yes, but let's find the right person for the job.
And let's make sure that we do this right as we move forward. That's a really good point.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
And no's not bad. I know that as a leader, sometimes I'm a firm believer you don't have to be liked, but being likable is an important an important power base, the referent power base, but that doesn't mean you have to say yes to everything. That you can say no, but you have to be consistent in the way you do things. People appreciate consistency. Mm-hmm. That you're not willy-nilly, like one day over here, one day over there. That with consistency, communication, collaboration, that people respect you, they like you, or you're likable. They might not really like you because you're on the them team. Let's face it, you're on the them team. Well, we all have
for the record, in politics, if they don't like you, you kind of have like a short tenure. People have to like you, want to vote for you to keep you in office. So for politicians, it's a fine line, because one of the lessons that I had to learn for me the hard way was that, because I thought it was really important to be liked. So I was constantly looking to make sure that everybody, is everybody okay? Who's not, whose feathers are ruffled? And I actually went through an equestrian coaching session with a gal, and she, using a horse point, showed me how important it is to not be so worried about if people are okay, and stay focused on the vision and moving forward, and just, they'll figure it out and just keep going forward. And you can check in a little bit, but so that was, do you want to be liked or do you want to be respected, was a hard lesson for me. And I've crossed over, I think, a lot into not being afraid to say what needs to be said and challenging people, and not being afraid if they'll like me or not. I don't need you to like me. We need to make this community the best it can be. So don't like me, but let's move together with a common agenda to make our community better. So to your
point, I think, like I said, makes you likable because you're consistent. You've got a vision on where you're going.
Right.
And
people know your motive. I think motive is huge. When your motive is for self gratifications and movement, that's one thing, but when it really is for your community, it's everything.
So I'm gonna step right there. I'm always about self gratification.
I forgot who I was talking
to. All right, please continue. I just needed to put that in
just
there.
For the record, I'm a politician, so I'm not allowed to say that. Okay. For the record, she's not. No. Wow. Well, it is happy hour, so what we say
is.
here remains here, right? Even on the
Right.
video.
And for the record, even though you're in a government office, you have tea in the cup. So
yes, I do have tea in this cup. Yes.
So this is happy hour, but she's got a happy cup.
This is my way of having my happy hour.
All right. I've got a vodka tonic. She's got a tea and a happy cup.
I've got tea.
We're all good.
Yes. Yeah, appreciate you pointing that out.
Well, I just want to make sure I didn't, if your constituents were watching this, I didn't want to
right.
Well, she's doing happy hour in her office while we're paying her. What's that
there
about?
You go. There goes the talk, right? No, yeah. Yeah.
So you face, quite a few obstacles, and I like how you put on that, knowing how to get along with people is, pretty much the key. What are some of the things that you found that have helped you get along with people in politics?
For me, the biggest thing is not being afraid to have candid conversations. I've been a life coach since 2006. And so in my coaching practice is called candid coaching. And then in the speaking, candid conversations, because being able to have those hard conversations that people would much rather go and talk to 5 of their friends about instead of the person that they have the issue with.
Right.
When I worked at IDOT, I was with, 40 guys. I was the only woman there. It was with 40 guys. Then I come into this office and it's with all women. So it was a totally different dynamic, and helping them. One of the things that I loved working with guys was if you have an issue with them, you have the blow up right there, you walk away, and the next day it's like normal. Where with women, maybe you have a blow up, I'm hanging on to it for months, and all of my friends are going to know about it, and it's going to be on my Facebook page, and it's all over the place.
And in my Hertz Rolodex in my head,
great. I'm pulling it out. I'm pulling it out. And you don't even have to bring it up. You just know. Yeah. So being able to train my team that if you have an issue with somebody, you go to that person. I'll go with you if you need me to, but you're going to go and you're going to sit down and you're going to work it out with that person. Right. And anytime that there's something that is uncomfortable, I had a huge heated discussion with the mayor, and just texting him and asking him, can we circle around and talk? I'm not okay with the way that we ended things. And, his response, me neither, I'll be over in 10 minutes. And just to be able to make sure that first and foremost, at the core, we all agree on what our motive is. It really is about trying to make the community the best it can be. Right. So in any situation, what do we all agree on? And that's one of the things that frustrates me beyond measure is, with Republicans and Democrats. I always talk about how the way that we are in our society as Republicans and Democrats, it's like a married couple. And you've got the dad, and he wants to make sure that the bills are paid, that the chores are done, that you do what you say and you say what you do.
Right.
Bottom line, that's a Republican philosophy, right? And then you've got the Democrat philosophy of, I just want to take care of the kids. I get that they don't have a job and they should be working, but in the meantime, let's make sure they have a roof over their head, make sure they have food. Democrat philosophy. In a healthy family, you've got the Republican and the Democrat, the mom and the dad, that work really well together to raise amazing kids. Once they get divorced, all bets are off.
Right.
And then you're fighting over the kids for the sake of the kids, and you destroy your kids. And that's what we've come to as a country is we're destroying our country, fighting over who's right and who's wrong, instead of recognizing we're both right. So how do we sit down and find the best thing with both of those values to be able to do that?
Man, you just took to a whole nother deep level. You just blew my mind. Bam.
Sorry. I should have warned you. Take another swig.
That was cheers to Cheri. That was awesome. I never thought about politics like that. I don't even talk about politics with my friends. It's simply because it's just or family. I set the parameters on. These are the things I will not talk about, just so we can maintain our relationship.
Right. But there's a book. Hang on, I'm gonna grab it. It's called this book. It's called The Politics of Hope. Oh. And it's written by a gal by the name of Donna Zajac, and she is a political leadership coach. It is the most profound book I have ever read in my life, and it's exactly about that, about coming back center as elected representatives in our country and figuring out what matters, and then working from the core out instead of the way that we're doing things. So she's actually my coach. I met her after I read this book and stalked her. I went after her.
You're like, I like you. Be my friend.
You my friend.
Be my friend.
It worked with you. No.
That's funny. It's I had this discussion with Phil Gerbershak here a few weeks ago on the show.
Wait, Phil from Florida?
Yeah, from Florida.
That's hilarious. Florida. My daughter's meeting him this week. She just moved to Florida. Oh. Anyway,
we were talking about politics, and I always look at, being a military guy, I always look at leader first. Who garners my followership? Who would I follow as a leader? And then I look at politics after that. That if, somebody, and we all have people that's kind of, we have an ideal type on leaders that's in our head of, what a leader should look like, what a leader should be. And we try to, match, different leaders that we work for, we like to what our ideal type is. And so like for me as a leader, it's like, all right, who garners my followership that I would be willing to go to war for and, and work for and submit my will to. So, because I'm with you that in 4 years, to me, I don't really care about whoever's president. Really doesn't make a difference. And I'm still going to be living. I'm still going to be breathing. I'm still going to be, doing what I do. However, I'd like to see us as a nation be in a better place. And I think that you're spot on that all comes down to how well we can get along and get things done together, breaking free of all the rhetoric, breaking free of all the crap between us, and looking at just like, how can we do best for our family, our kids? I'm one of the kids.
We're the kids. We're all the kids. We're all the kids. Yep. Yeah, it's crazy. I think the thing that blows my mind the most, though, is people turn out to vote for president insanely. But, we have all of these shop local campaigns. We need a vote local campaign, because people don't go out and vote for school board. And that's the board of directors for the education of our kids. It's the most important position that there is. People don't vote for it.
And probably the one that impacts them more than the presidential race.
Right. Yeah. We have an ordinance where everybody's got to have a $50 garbage can, and it happens in one city council meeting. And now everybody's put that extra tax, but we're voting for president, but we don't even know who our city council members are. I just think it's so important to start focusing and just waking up to who are the people that are elected right in our community, because they are going to end up being the ones at the state capitol and the national capitol, because that people grow from there. So part of my soapbox.
That is a great PSA, Cheri.
Well, a PSA.
Well, it is. I mean, because
my phone's starting to go dead, so I'm just plugging. Okay.
All right. 22 years in the Navy, I never had the opportunity to vote local, but now that I'm actually in the community, I vote. Whenever there's the opportunity to vote, I vote. Right. Sometimes I don't know what I'm voting for, but I vote.
Right.
But I try to get.
Have you ever thought about
running? What's that?
Have you ever thought about running for local office?
No. No.
That was a pretty definitive answer. That wasn't.
It was.
I never thought about it.
Here's the deal. I've got way too many skeletons in my closet.
Oh wow.
And I don't need that door opened and those skeletons exposed. Right. I'm happy just to be behind the curtain like the great and almighty Oz.
There you go. That's funny that you say that, because one of the blessings in my life is I've been in recovery for a lot of years, and it's an anonymous program, so I'm not going to say which one it is. But in that anonymous program, one of the things that you have to do is you have to do an inventory and clean out your closet and make amends. So when I ran for the position, my predecessor came to me and said he had a whole bunch of information on me and he planned on using it. I was like, really? And he said, yeah, you bet I do. And I said, well, let's have coffee. He said, well, you're not going to talk me out of it. I'm like, no. I want to share the rest of it with you. You probably don't have all the good details. He's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I have no skeletons. I have a whole lot of really incredible life lessons, and I would love to share them with you. Needless to say, he didn't use any of it. So it was it's really cool. I think that's important, to be able to, people that are interested in doing that, making sure that their closet is clean, because it's amazing how stuff gets twisted. It's unfortunate, but they twist stuff to try and get people to stand down, and it's heartbreaking the way that lives or character assassinated. overpower so that people can get in those positions. So
yeah, I don't need that.
yeah.
Great. That's why
That's a great cover too. I mean, you can use that your whole life. Nobody will ever like, oh no, I don't have too much stuff. I got too much baggage. So
well, I just look at it like that. As I'm pretty honest about who I am. I know who I am, and I don't need people to know certain things about me that are out there.
That's good.
If they ask me if we're really good friends, I'll be happy to tell them about it. But
right, you don't need another page of the paper, right?
People I don't know, judge me on that.
Right.
Because there's other details that they don't know.
Yeah, you don't need to know all of this stuff. So yeah. Well,
awesome.
It's funny because one of the things in my community that I started, because we have a lot of older white leadership, male primarily, and our community is a third Latino, a third African American, and a third white, with huge poverty. And I knew that there was a lot of untapped leadership in my community, so we have a coalition and we created the Zion Benton Leadership Academy, where everybody applies, and it's people that are out of college that are back home that want to get involved in the community. We choose 12 people each year, and we go through 5 Saturdays from 9 until noon, and it's a leadership academy, and they get hooked up with a leader in the community as a mentor. And so when they graduate, then there's a year 2 that's all on their own, and it's reading a couple of leadership books and going to different municipal meetings. We've had it. We're coming up on our 5th season. Our state representative graduated from there. We have a city council member, the president of the library board, vice president of the park board. So it's had a huge influx of new leadership in our community that I'm really proud of. So
that's exciting. That's cool stuff.
It is so cool. It's so
fun.
Well,
we do a pretty good job, in the business world anyhow, of promoting the people that are technically proficient, but we don't do a really good job of developing them. Yeah. And I think the same thing rings true in our community. It's that a lot of times somebody might be really smart, but you don't really give them the tools they need to be leaders in the community and to really and make a difference. I mean, let's face it, leadership's not a birthday party. It's just not. It's not.
No, it's a grind. It's so much development and learning from trial and error, and it's crazy. Yeah, a lot of perseverance. It takes a ton of perseverance.
Exactly. And the key it really is that, you can ask yourself all these different questions as far as like, if you want to be a leader, do I want to repeat myself all the time? Do I want to, have to, babysit, all these different things. But the key question really is do I want to make a difference for other people? And if the answer to that is yes, then you need to do what you need to do in order to make yourself better so you can make that difference. Wow. If, people like, if there are programs like you have where you can, get involved and learn how to, make that kind of difference, then that's what you need to do if you really want to make a difference for other people. It's like get every tool you can, scrape it all in so you can get out there and serve. Leadership is it's about serving other people. So that's cool that you got that program. Sign me up. I'm ready.
Maybe sometime as an instructor, it would be awesome to have you come down and do a clip.
Well, I'm in. I won't even charge you because we're friends.
Now you're really in trouble. Really in trouble. That's so funny. Oh my God.
I'll put this disclaimer that does not apply to anybody else that listens to this.
And I'm glad this is being taped because I have it.
You have it on recording.
That you said that. Oh, that's so funny. But
I really appreciate your time and sharing, a little bit about, what you're doing as a leader, what you've done as a leader, the different obstacles you face, how you look at, some of the tools you use on getting along with people. And I really enjoy the fact that, one, you build your team with people that look for how we can get things done rather than how we cannot get things done. And, how your focus is on relationships, and that relationships are the key to really, leveraging the, and getting things done anyway. So,
right.
So
I think, the other piece of all of that is, don't burn bridges. The people that were absolutely determined to get me out of office when I got elected are now some of my biggest cheerleaders, so I always know that if there's somebody that I've come up against, I had somebody run against me in the last election, and he was determined to take me out. And people were like, so how are you handling it? I'm like, all of the work that he's doing, it's my goal. he is going to be my biggest cheerleader, because the more he does research and the more he tries to find out what I'm doing wrong, he's going to find out what incredible stuff we're doing, and he'll be an advocate for me. So it hasn't happened yet, but I try and do that with everybody. There's probably only been one bridge that I intentionally, put gas on and lit myself, because I had no intention of
your ex-husband,
that relationship again. But it's amazing how it comes full circle, and something that you couldn't stand somebody on a different topic, now you're trying to affect change in another place, and you need them on your team. So you don't have to agree with them, just don't lose the mutual respect to agree to disagree. So did you freeze on me? Oh, there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you were slowing down, kind of like to agree to disagree, but I picked it up.
You got the gist? Good.
Yeah, I got the gist. All good. Good.
It's the happy hour drink, right?
It was exactly. So if anybody else's drink is listeners, like,
in my happy hour cup.
Agree to disagree. So
agree to disagree. So, there we go. Yes.
There you go. Good stuff. Cool. Now, if we were at a regular happy hour, certainly I would challenge you to do something pretty crazy, simply because we're drinking. However, since we're not, what I like to do is ask people a couple questions from my overstuffed would you rather book.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a few would you rathers, and you can answer honestly, so.
Or not, right?
Yeah, exactly. You want to think about your constituents on this.
Right.
So, Cheri, would you rather be able to fart out Polaroid photos or have self-tying tennis shoes?
Ooh, I like the photos. And the reason being is that, like, some of my favorite memories, I only remember if there's a picture. So that would rock. Polaroid photos of events. That would be incredible. I would take that, baby.
I like where you gave the whole reason behind that. You are a politician.
Well, I had to. You can't, like, people be like, what?
All right. Second question, Cheri Neal. Would you rather be able to highlight with your finger or be able to induce nosebleeds in people on live TV?
Oh, I kind of like the highlighting. I'm trying to think of people. That would be really funny, though, if you could just induce somebody get a nosebleed.
It would be kind of like that. What was that movie with Jim Carrey where he was God for a Day?
Oh, yes,
he was, like,
that's one of my other favorite movies. Yes, Bruce Almighty. Yeah,
Bruce Almighty. There you go.
Yeah.
Back
you know what? I would
was...
think that the nosebleed thing, it would be funny at first, but it would get old. But highlighting, being able to highlight stuff never gets old. I kind of like the highlight finger. Yeah.
You are such an admin government nerd. You're like, I want to highlight that.
That would be my laptop. No.
All right, last question, Cheri Neal. Would you rather be able to cool coffee to a drinkable level with merely one blow, or be able to miraculously neatly consume sloppy joes?
Is there a C?
No, that's just it.
Yeah.
Cool coffee with one blow, or
I got it. So I definitely don't want to cool coffee with one blow, because I always have them make it at 165 so that it's too hot to drink, because I have a drinking problem, and so I drink really fast. So if it's really hot, it like lasts the entire meeting. The sloppy, I don't really care if it's neat. I kind of like messy. I'm not real good with
silverware. You like it sloppy. Yeah.
I do. Life is too short to be neat. So yeah, I'm thinking what's ever behind.
You like it extra sloppy.
With the
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Wow.
All right. So after today, if people want to find you, where do they go?
Yes, they can reach me at Cheri, CHERI, L Neal, NEAL, at gmail.com. Or at my website, CheriLNeal.com. So, and I also, just to give a shout out in case any of my kids are listening, I also have a youth leadership team that's made up of third graders through sophomores in high school. So I've got 30 kids that we just took down to We Day in Chicago to celebrate all of the incredible things they do in the community. So if they ever Google it and see this, I'm giving a shout out to the Zion Elementary School District Youth Leadership Team. So go kids.
Woo.
So yes. Yeah. So, but yes, you can definitely reach me there. And I love coaching. I love whatever. And Chip, you're the bomb. This has been so much fun. We didn't even
It has
talk
been a
about
lot of fun.
entrepreneur.
It's been
We
a
did
lot of
not
fun,
even
you know,
talk
getting
about it.
to spend a little time with you, talk about government, talk about, like, we went a whole different route on politics that I didn't think we were going to go, which was awesome. We didn't get into horses, which is okay with me because we can talk
Yeah,
about that
you
a
don't like
different day. No,
yeah.
I'm
Not
getting to
your
like
gig.
him because it's a bond with my wife. So
Yes.
I've been knee deep in mud and horse crap for a while.
Yes. There's
So,
only 3 seasons, right? Summer, winter, and mud season.
yeah, exactly.
Crazy. Anyway.
Yeah. All right, friends. I appreciate you tuning in to Leadership Happy Hour. Again, my name is Chip Lutz, Unconventional Leader. You can find me at www.unconventionalleader.com or chip@unconventionalleader.com. I appreciate you, Cheri, being on the show. It's been a lot of fun. And I encourage everybody to, you know, visit Cheri on her website and read her bio. It is fantastic. You know, just read about the different things she's done. Thanks a lot for being on the show.
Thanks a lot, Chip. Bye, everybody.
All
Thanks
right.
so much. Bye-bye.
Thanks a lot.
Bye.